And so I started making some phone calls, and I found, I learned three very valuable lessons that day. I learned number one is that Dade County has a real mental health crisis on its hands. It turns out that we have the largest percentage of people with mental illnesses of any urban area in the United States. It's almost 3 times the national average. It's over 9% of our general population. It's about 210,000 people suffer from a very serious illness here. That our jail was the largest psychiatric facility in Florida. We have over about 1,200 people a day on psychotropic medication. And since 1999, we had like 20 people with mental illnesses die during an encounter with the police. I learned that then it wasn't just a local and state problem, it was also a national problem. And that this was going on in every courtroom around the country. And then the worst lesson I learned, the third lesson, is that we don't have a mental health system. You know, we're all naive to it. Unless you've really been involved or have a family member, you know, you just don't know. And it's this very fragmented, inadequate, antiquated system of care that doesn't really apply today. And so, unfortunately, people with acute mental illness keep recycling through criminal justice. And one of the best things about being a judge is that you have an opportunity to get involved in these kinds of issues and make really positive change. And I'm fortunate because I have a chief judge here that gave me a little bit of leeway to do it. And my goal was to just get this one guy treatment. And I dusted off that letter that I had sent when I was a public defender, and I put it on my new stationery with a big fat gold seal, and they got to the meeting early, and we had everybody, and we were able to secure a little grant from an amazing organization called the Gain Center, and they sent us 3 national experts, and for 2 days we had in the room all the traditional and non-traditional stakeholders like sheriffs and police chiefs and state attorneys and public defenders and emergency room people and provider types, and we figured out that there was a better way to deal with this. And as a result of that meeting and the amazing collaboration of the people in the room, we put together a memorandum of understanding, and we began to fundamentally change the way we were dealing with people with mental illness in our community. And it's just taken off from there, and it's been an amazing adventure, and we've made huge progress. We don't dump people back to the street anymore. We have a system in place now that if you do get arrested on a misdemeanor and you have serious mental illness, we divert you to a crisis stabilization unit, and we get you stabilized, and then we bring in a year's worth of services to you, and we hook you up with what's out there, and we then make sure that what's out there is doing what they're supposed to do. And we've lowered our recidivism from about 70% to about 20% for a misdemeanor mental health population. We've recently expanded the program to low-level felony cases. We've gotten the whole community involved. I've had all the commissioners and the mayor come to the jail and see what a horrible situation it is. And as a result of that, they passed a $22 million bond issue for us, and we just got the state to give us this brand new amazing building that we're fixing up with the $22 million bucks. And hopefully starting in a couple months, we're going to have the first of its kind facility in the country that will be a forensic diversion facility with all the services under one roof, with a true continuum of care using best practices and best treatments available that we have today, and start to put people in recovery and keep them out of a system that they never should have gone to and shouldn't be in. And it's just been an amazing adventure. We have an amazing piece of legislation that will enable us to actually pay for some of that using Medicaid, and creating the system all around the state. And we're hopeful that that will pass this legislative session. We don't know, because legislators are legislators, but we have some wonderful allies and some wonderful legislators that are helping us, and hopefully we'll be successful. And for once, Florida might be at the cutting edge of making some real national reform, and we'll go from there. It doesn't even feel like a job because it's so amazing. Look, I don't want to be naive or Pollyannish about it, but it feels, it's a great feeling to know that you're making a difference in somebody's life in a positive way. I mean, look, there are bad people out there that need to go to jail and prison. This isn't about that. Actually, you know, it can be very tough on crime. I mean, people with personality issues and that are just bad, you know, we need to do what we need to do. But there's a ton of people, you know, a ridiculous amount of people that are now in our system that just don't need to be here, that are just sick. And when we closed all of our state hospitals, which is what we've done, and did not provide an adequate community mental health system for them, it's kind of hard to blame them for being here. I mean, they have no options. And so, you know, this is about justice, and we want to do the just thing, and there's a way to do it and protect the public safety at the same time. In fact, the way we do it now not only costs remarkable amounts of dollars, but it actually threatens our public safety, because we spend all this money on the deep end, basically, one, stabilizing people so we can restore them to competency to try them, and then release them right back to the community once we give them credit time served or probation without any real access to the appropriate services. And then when folks with serious mental illnesses come out of prison, for the most part, they go right back to the community without any services and reoffend. And so, you know, we think that this program will greatly enhance our public safety while at the same time giving people an opportunity to recover and have a life again. And so it's a win-win for everybody. I mean, Florida, right now, the fastest growing population in our prisons are people with mental illnesses. It's grown 145% over the last 10 years, compared to about 44% of people without mental illness. So we've gone from about 8,000 prisoners with mental illness to 17,000 prisoners with mental illness. It's now projected to double over the next 10 years, and the state of Florida will need to build 10 new prisons just for people with mental illnesses at a cost of $3.6 billion to warehouse them and manage them for the next 10 years. And it's $3.5 billion we don't have. And it's $3.5 billion we don't need if we would get most of these people into the treatment that we know that they can recover. And so we're working hard with all the state officials and the executive branch and the legislative branch to fix it. It was very heartwarming. I was in Tallahassee this week, and I presented to one of the committees that heard the bill, and one of the most conservative members on the panel actually thanked the court for trying to be proactive to resolve a problem before we needed to act on a problem. And it really is the right way to proceed. I think sometimes we're better off collaborating on issues. Look, I'm very clear that there is a wonderful separation of powers, and we need to respect that and honor that. But what happens sometimes is when the other branches don't do their job, particularly when they get to these social issues, they get dumped into the judicial branch. And I don't think the branch is comfortable having to resolve those issues, but sometimes we have no choice. And I think the approach that we've taken, and a lot of credit goes to the former Chief Justice of the Florida Supreme Court, Fred Lewis, who put this task force together. I just was, you know, lucky enough to be asked to head it.